And we had an advisor that came on board with us 3 years ago, 31 million in AUM. And on Tuesday of this week is already at 254 million of AUM. If advisors looking to grow, all they got to do is call us. We are the best kept secret.
Welcome into Impactful Conversations, stories and lessons for financial advisors. I'm your host, Dave Edgecombe. Joining me, boy, anytime you get the president of your own company to walk into your frigid icebox of a digital studio to talk basically anything you want them to, you got to take advantage of it. And so I want to lean on Thomas Zebley here to kind of share some insights about what he's seen in the industry and anything that's kind of catching his eye. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for carving out some time. And I want to know, what are you seeing? I mean, what's not necessarily keeping you up at night, but what are the sort of the things that you're noticing?
Well, what we hear from advisors that aren't with our platform is volatility, tariffs, and poor market performance. And customers wanting to know what's happening with their portfolio.
Is there, I mean, you mentioned our clients, the advisors that we work with, are they fielding a lot of phone calls necessarily?
Nope. That's the beauty of, well, because within Impact Partnership Wealth, we have proprietary portfolios that are doing something for the customer and they know it. Where usually it's you find out about what's happening with the portfolio 30 days after the performance or per quarter. We do it in real time.
I know that tariffs are kind of the buzzword, and they get brought in, and it's been sort of an up and down ride with whatever they end up getting, settling at. What's that? How's that factor into this whole equation?
In regards to our platform?
Well, just volatility in general, I think, and kind of the uncertainty and not knowing if it's 10%, if it's 15%, if it's 130%, or and what that does to investors and what that does to money managers in general.
Great question. So within our money managers, it's a do something model, meaning that they're always looking at what's happening to the market, which gives them indicators to either buy, sell, or hold. And so we have a proprietary methodology within Market Guard that signals to the money manager, this is what needs to happen. So the advisor gets to do what they need to focus on, which is getting more prospects in the door and soliciting them, hey, you need to do business with us, and here's why. In regards to like the volatility of the market, we thrive on that. When we had the Ukraine war, our phones did not ring. Our advisors weren't worried about, hey, what's happening? Because we used a chocolate chip cookie analogy within IPW and Market Guard, and it works. It resonates with consumers. You eat chocolate chip cookies, I'm assuming?
I do.
Does.
I've been known to partake.
All right. So, if you think about it, when you make chocolate chip cookies, you make them from scratch, not the Toll Brothers one or whatnot. You just make them at the house. If you switch vanilla with vinegar, both start with V, both are liquid, what happens to your cookies?
One of them's going to give you a bad time.
Exactly. And so it's that way of explaining how portfolios are built within Market Guard, which any advisor can explain. Then the customer goes, oh, I have the right ingredients because I have vanilla instead of vinegar. The next thing is putting it together and putting it in the oven, right? Do you like yours soft? Do you like them hard? Do you like them a little burnt? That's all about the temperature of the oven, which is the same thing that has to do with the market. It's all about risk. So if you like yours medium, well, we're going to set your oven to medium. And then when we're at that level, we're going to pull the freaking cookies out.
Yep.
And so that resonates with consumers, which resonates with advisors. So I know I answered the question long, but that's how, with volatility and Market Guard and making chocolate chip cookies, that's why we're growing. That's why we're having like exponential growth.
A lot to unpack there. You said Market Guard. Before we can get into Market Guard, I kind of want to rewind the tape and get into IPW just a little bit, because I think when we talked yesterday, it was how to position IPW and what it really can do for an advisor. And it feels like it's that opportunity to sort of safeguard not just their practice, but really the portfolios of their clients. I mean, is that how you guys kind of broach it?
Yeah. So 3 years ago when I decided to start IPW, typically when you start a business, you've come up with, okay, what is the need? What is the goal that you're trying to accomplish? On my side, I wanted to come up with, let's reverse the engineering of how an RA is built. Typically, it's you get money managers and you're soliciting an advisor. What we wanted to do was do something completely different. We wanted to go and solicit consumers. So if you solicit a consumer the right way and educate them, the advisor, their work is done. So they can focus on getting the next customer and taking care of that family and so on and so forth. So we reimbursed engineered the whole concept of an RIA with the consumer first, advisor second.
I want to know if that's sort of a unique approach for an RIA to provide, because you're describing training and a better understanding, a more comprehensive understanding of how it works and educating clients and inherently educating advisors as well on it. Is that sort of unique to the IPW platform? Is the
100%.
training component of it?
Yes, 100%. So everything from training to the story, how you actually explain the methodology. Yeah, everything's proprietary. That's the unique thing with IPW. It's proprietary to us. The way we solicit and how we educate is only at IPW.
So the part that I've been looking forward to is talking Market Guard, because I've gotten to work with Brad Jenkins, CEO and founder of Market Guard, and I know that is sort of the crown jewel of what IPW can do for an advisor. Is Market Guard is really just sort of this, I mean, I don't know how compliant this is, but sort of like a cheat code. I mean, it really does open up doors for advisors and for their clients. So I don't want you to give me the secret sauce, but I mean, give me the pitch for what Market Guard can do for, an advisor and their clients.
For an advisor, it's more of like peace of mind, right?
Yep.
It's more of like, I'm going to explain Market Guard to a prospect or a client, and the way that we train and the way that the portfolios perform, which is the key, it actually allows the advisor to focus on what they do best, which is put the client or prospect mind at ease, show them that we're doing something for them or that the portfolios are doing something for them, and they can move on to the next one. At the same time, the client is getting alerted. They're getting notified from Market Guard what's happening to the portfolio. And the advisor is getting notified at a macro level, which is in its total transparency. So the fact that Market Guard is actually doing all this stuff on behalf of the platform, the advisor, and the client, it's a win-win-win.
I got the chance to talk to one of our advisors who is on IPW at earlier this week. We were hosting Marketing Summit, one of the events that we host here at Impact for our advisors and for their teams. And she spoke a little bit about IPW and Market Guard and what it has enabled her to do in her practice. And one thing that she harped on was the ability to remove emotion from the equation when it comes to investing and talking to clients, and kind of not necessarily talking them off the ledge, but, and having them ask real questions and being able to be comfortable with their decisions that they make. How does emotion normally dictate someone's decision when it comes to their investments?
Yeah, typically emotions allow someone to sell either early or sell too late. And it goes right back to the chocolate chip cookies. I mean, that's, you're probably talking about Heidi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so relatable to someone because, again, if your risk tolerance is, hey, I'm willing to take some risk. Well, we have a portfolio for you. Well, I really don't want to take as much risk. Well, we have a portfolio for you. Once you understand the methodology that's happening behind the portfolio and your allocation, it's all about the oven. So it literally lets someone know from a consumer perspective, I got my chocolate chip cookies in the oven, and I know what my temperature is set, and the cookies are going to be either removed or put back in, all in real time.
Are all RIAs created equal?
No.
Why not?
We're all different. Each one has its own little niche. Typically RIAs are trying to go out and solicit advisors and get as many as possible. That's not what we're doing at IPW. We want to have 300. Brad and I call that the army of 300. Mm-hmm. We want to have 300 go-to advisors in this industry that want to tell the chocolate chip cookie, and we're going to pour into them. And we do everything for the advisor. They just give this statement. We do all the planning for them.
So I'm glad you said we do everything for them, because I know that one of the big selling points for it is the marketing wing, the marketing arm that you get to take advantage of when you join on with IPW is the impact marketing wing. I mean, I'm a part of this wing. I mean, this is something that we bring to the table. And I guess, I mean, since I'm kind of new to the industry in this sense, I mean, is that a novel concept that there is marketing kind of tied to what an RIA can offer advisors?
Yeah. So typically, if you are working in the security side, so for example, like an RIA, the SEC has very strict requirements on how you can market to investments. The unique thing that we've done, again, goes back to the beginning, is reverse engineer. How do we create a platform? We created a way that an advisor can market to AUM. And we have the story and the performance to prove it. And I'm going to keep on saying it's all about the Cookie Monster, the chocolate chip cookie.
Yep.
And when you have that story and it resonates, the phone rings. And so, yeah, to your original question on the marketing, you typically cannot market an AUM based business because of the securities and exchange requirements on you can't market to this, you can't market to that. So, so chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies are going to be the buzzword throughout. If this was a drinking game, Cam sitting over there would be drunk by now because he had it on his bingo card. Chocolate chip cookies getting mentioned a lot. Something you've mentioned Brad a couple of times, and something that Heidi mentioned that Brad says all the time is iron sharpens iron, and this concept of the advisor network. And I think that's a really unique selling point for not just IPW, but Impact in general, but specifically when it comes to IPW is coming to these workshops and coming to these training events that IPW and Market Guard host throughout the year and being able to sort of pick the brain of your peer. So how do you see sort of that advisor network being a real selling point for the RIA and IPW specifically?
Yep. So twice a year we get together and we call it the Iron Sharpens Iron. And it's not, myself or Brad getting on stage and saying, hey, this is how we do it. This is how you should do it.
Yeah.
It's actually advisors that are growing. Like we have some that are over 1,000% compounding growth year over year. Why would you not want to learn from that individual? So it's the community of advisors giving back. So we do that 2 times a year, once here, once in Franklin, Tennessee.
Yep.
And then every single month we're doing an Iron Sharpens Iron webinar. And it's advisors talking about what's working, how they're getting wins, and it's just shared community. And so again, this is a very unique experience just for IPW, and advisors want to help other advisors. But uniquely with us, it's just how do you take our platform, our portfolios, and how are you going out and marketing it to your community and then bringing your wins back and then everyone winning.
So do you have like obviously we can't use names, but do you want to share like maybe a success story of like kind of the growth that an advisor can experience when they make that jump to IPW and what it can do for their practice?
I have several.
Okay.
But I'll probably share the biggest one.
Okay.
We had an advisor that came on board with us 3 years ago, 31 million in AUM. And on Tuesday of this week is already at 254 million of AUM.
What's the secret?
Our platform.
I knew you were gonna. It's that simple, huh?
It's that simple. If advisors looking to grow, all they got to do is call us. We are the best kept secret.
Well, in terms of growth, I mean, give me the growth chart for what IPW has been like.
We're already over 2 billion in 3 years.
And can you put that in some sort of put that in some sort of context for what that's like? I mean, is that truly a rocket ship?
We are a rocket ship. No, we're still on the platform.
So what's next?
We haven't even hit orbit yet. Continued growth and keep on pouring into advisors. I want as many advisors to have exponential growth by utilizing our platform.
So you're mentioning the wins that get spoken about. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the, iron sharpening iron. You got to talk about some of the struggles and some of the pain points that advisors have when they're going through IPW and making that transition. And I know that compliance ends up being one of the big sticking points and one of the things that people kind of have to work through. Why does compliance have to be so involved in that process? I guess because it's got to be difficult for any RIA from a compliance standpoint.
Yeah, even from my chair, it's the regulatory authorities, which is the SEC. They have I call it a freaking novel of requirements that you have to adhere to. And so, and they're constantly changing. I mean, we just got a new chair, and so I'm sure we're going to get more changes. But compliance is what I say is our compliance is not anti-sales. It's more of like making sure that we're doing things the right way and making sure that no one loses their license. And that they are able to keep on thriving. And so compliance is you have to have it.
Yeah.
It's to ensuring that we're not misleading, we're not doing anything to hurt the consumer. Ultimately, that's what we're all trying to make sure that we are not doing as a whole as an industry.
Yeah.
So compliance is the necessary evil.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to describe it as a necessary evil, and just it stinks and it's frustrating, and I know as a business owner it's got to be frustrating to get the feedback from it, but at the end of the day, that's what partnering with IPW and having having IPW as your RIA affords you is you get to do the things you do really well and not worry about, red tape and rule changes and things like that.
And doing it right.
And doing it right.
Yeah.
So in that same vein, when we talk about, we're big on the CEO mindset here and getting advisors to sort of transition into that CEO mindset. And something that feels like this is a struggle potentially is a lot of the advisors that we work with see themselves as entrepreneurs. They're small business owners and they like to be the guy or the gal, and they like to be in charge, and the buck stops with them. And wrestling with this notion of entrepreneur mindset and CEO mindset, whereas partnering with IPW and getting on board with an RIA that's going to tell you compliance issues, but ultimately it's going to allow you to sort of step into a role where you can thrive, and that's being the advisor. Is that sort of one of the selling points that you have to, and one of the sticking points that you have to get across to advisors that are sort of on the fence about it?
Now, I say for myself and Mike Weinberger, it's more, and even Brad, it's just coaching the advisor, right? Like, if you're an RA, you have to take on the responsibility of compliance. That's great. We work with RAs. More importantly, if you want to be a CEO, and the key is scaling your business, there's some things you need to remove from you as the entrepreneur, the CEO, the business leader.
From your day to day.
100%. And one of them is portfolio management. If you're a portfolio manager and you're running a business, that is a lot of work. Just think about just this year alone, the volatility. So if you're actively trading block portfolios for your customers based on volatility swings, you're going to be not really focused on growing your business. You're going to be a portfolio manager. And so the question that I always ask advisors is like, what do you want to do with your business? Do you want to scale it? Do you want to sell it? Like, what are you ultimately trying to do? And 9 out of 10 times they just say, I like to meet with customers and grow my business, manage my business. Very rare do I like building portfolios. And so that's a task that we can actually take away from an advisor. Is like, let us help you with the portfolio side and everything else you do.
Compliance is obviously one that comes up that I get the feedback on, but what's another, I guess, pain point, growing pain sort of thing that you encounter from an advisor's perspective?
Yeah, I would say when an advisor says, hey, I'm ready to pull the trigger, I want to move to IPW. Like any advisor out there will tell you, transition is a pain in the rear end.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because you're moving from one platform to another. And it's a lot of work. It's for not mainly for the advisor, but for the staff. But what we've done, again, I told you we reverse engineered it, was we have a dedicated team of transition managers. That's all they do 24/7, 365 days a year, is to ensure a block of business gets transferred from one RA to the next, which is very unique to us. The fact that we have a dedicated transition team.
I'm big on light bulb moments. Do you get a lot of aha, or like a lot of, now I see what they were talking about when they initially were talking to me about coming on to IPW, and now I'm getting to experience it. Is that sort of the prevailing feedback that you get?
Yeah, it's usually around 6 months afterwards. Just anytime you're with a new platform, learning the tricks of the trade, learning how we do things. But typically the light bulb comes off and they're like, or I'll get the phone call, I just landed my first $2 million AUM client. It was so easy.
So what's the next step right now for IPW? Where do you see it?
We're going to continue to enhance our products. We're launching a proprietary structured note. We'll be the first to do it in our industry with a major bank, and we're just not stopping there.
I got to imagine that's kind of an appealing component to IPW is versus going with an RIA that's been more established and been around for a minute, and they have the way that they do it. Whereas it feels like, from my vantage point, IPW is still trying to innovate.
And is
that how you approach it?
We start with innovation, and we're going to continue to innovate. It's the only way that you can win.
Well, I'm excited to be on this rocket ship with you. Thank you for joining me in the podcast studio and taking some time to kind of shine a light on sort of the other half of what Impact does and Impact Partnership Wealth, and sort of that rocket ship that it can put advisors on to take their practice to the next level.
Go IPW.
Go IPW. If you're looking for more ways to grow your practice, our Impact Partnership YouTube channel is a fantastic place to start. Selling with stories, house rules, some great testimonials from the advisors that we work with as well, including some IPW advisors. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.